All right, so in this next one, any person arrested under a warrant issued upon a complaint, unless admitted to bail, shall be taken without unnecessary delay before a judge of the court which issued the warrant, and shall be given a copy of the complaint and warrant. The defendant shall at such time be arraigned in accordance with the provisions of Rule 10, and we'll touch on this Rule 10 in a little bit, unless arraignment is continued as provided therein. So you can see here that the arraignment can be continued, and in this Rule 210 you're going to see that you have that right to continue the arraignment. So when they're trying to arraign you, which is basically to get that plea out of you, you use those points that I gave you earlier to get a continuance, so that you do not have to give a plea, because once you give a plea, you're agreeing to follow their terms, punishments, etc. Now in this next one, I just want you to see that here in another section they're talking again, unless arraignment is continued as provided therein, and I keep referring to this Rule 210. I'm sure it's the same thing in your state. So got to put this into your head that you have the right to get a continuance on your arraignment. So you do not have to plea if you are brought in front of the judge or magistrate. You can basically demand for a continuance because you want to seek counsel. So need to get all these things solid in your head, so that you'll be able to stand up to these people. All right, so here we see that arraignment shall be held upon defendant's first appearance in court. So they can't really do anything unless they get this arraignment out of the way. Okay, so unless defendant is granted a continuance, there's that continuance again, to seek assistance of counsel to determine which plea to enter. So see, if you play dumb, you say, I don't know which plea to enter, I need to seek assistance of counsel. They have to give you a continuance, or for other good and sufficient reason. But the best reason you can give them is that you need to seek counsel. The court shall advise each defendant of the right to have the arraignment continued upon request for good cause shown, which would be to seek counsel. And if no such request is made, the court may proceed with the arraignment. So you see, if you don't open your mouth, they will proceed with the arraignment. And that's exactly what happened to me. I didn't know any better. No one ever told me anything. The attorney that I had never told me anything, because if they told everybody about this, there would be no need for attorneys. So I hope this is becoming more and more clear to you. Okay, now here you can see that their arraignment must be conducted in open court. So arraignment shall be conducted in open court, and the defendant may appear in person or by counsel. So you can have actually your counsel show up and enter the plea for you, but you don't want to do that because if they don't get the arraignment from you when they had the chance and you were there in front of them, you would be pretty dumb to send a counsel or anyone on your behalf to speak for you to enter a plea. And that's the whole purpose of this. Without a plea, they have nothing on you. So you want to keep it that way. Okay, so here you see what the pleas actually are. A defendant, and you know this is what they always try to do. They always try to call you a defendant. They won't call you anything else. A defendant is a person, a defendant in person or by counsel may plead guilty, not guilty, or with the consent of the court, nolo contender, which is the same thing as no contest, which is basically saying that you're guilty. So you don't want to do any of those things. Okay, so here's this next rule. If the defendant appears in court without counsel, the court shall advise the defendant of the right to retain counsel. Now, in some states, they define counsel as being an attorney or a lawyer. Okay, so if that's the case, you have the right to retain counsel, but you also have the right not to take a right. Okay, so you may have a right to retain an attorney, but the other flip side of that coin is you also have the right to not have an attorney. Okay, and that's why you also do not want to represent yourself as pro se, because when you act pro se, you're saying that you're going to be your own attorney. So basically you're telling them, yeah, give me the baseball bat, I'll beat myself with it. You don't have to give me a public defender, and I don't have to hire an attorney to beat me over the head. I can do it quite efficiently myself. So that's just an insult to go pro se. Okay, so once again, this is what you're gonna say. For the record, I, Freeman John William of the family Doe, object to being kidnapped. For the record, I, Freeman John William Doe, or William of the family Doe, wish for continuance on this matter in order to obtain counsel. This eliminates the plea, so remember that. For the record, I, Freeman John William Doe, will not engage in any contracts without counsel unless coerced. For the record, I, Freeman John William of the family Doe, wish to be freed from your prison on my honor. So try to remember these things. Alright, now once you're freed from their prison, never ever go back to the court and present yourself. Okay, don't go back to these appointments. It's always going to be a trap. If you must go to court, always send a messenger. Send someone to speak on your behalf. This someone is not going to be an attorney, so they're not going to be bound by their rules and regulations. And because they are in fact a messenger, they're like an angel from God going to speak for you. They cannot be harassed. Well, they could be harassed, but they're not going to be touched. They cannot be thrown in jail. They cannot be done all those things because they're actually like an ambassador. And if they are harassed in any kind of way, now you can hold that judge in contempt of court for violating and mistreating your messenger. And I'm actually in the process of doing that and going to prove to everybody that you have the power to protect your messenger, and they must protect your messenger, and if they don't, then you can hold them in contempt of court for doing that. Now your messenger team should consist of 5 people, and I'll go into details about this in another video, but basically you want 3 people to go up to talk to the judge. You want 2 other people in the gallery, okay, and you want everybody to have some kind of a recording device on them, because you got to have backup to backup to backup to backup. Now if you are ready to start standing up to this federal mafia, you can contact my team. Do not consent 83 at Yahoo. Your brother in freedom, Bert. Peace be with you.